Minnesota Vikings fans, to another edition of Vikings on SI right here on the Bring Me the Sports YouTube channel. Jonathan Harrison here, joined once again by Joe Nelson and Will Ragatz. Guys, it's a little bit earlier than normal because Vikings don't play till Monday night, but we're here. We're going to record. We're going to record and get our predictions on tape for Monday Night Football. Vikings versus the Chicago Bears, the second time these two teams have played in the last 4 weeks. So, Will, let's start off with you. What's your prediction for Vikings-Bears?
Yeah, last time these two teams played, I picked a Vikings loss, I think for the first and only time all season. And it almost happened. The Bears had the ball in overtime with a chance to go win the game after a crazy final 2 minutes of regulation. I'm not doing that again. I know there's some talent on the Chicago side of things, but they've lost 7 games in a row. The Vikings have won 6 in a row. This game is not at Soldier Field. It's at US Bank Stadium. You thought maybe the Bears would get the post-firing Matt Eberflus morale boost last week, and then they went out and just got absolutely walloped by the 49ers, who then just lost to the Rams last night and might not be a very good team. They're going to miss the playoffs. This Bears team is bad. Thomas Brown, as the interim coach, has his hands full. I do think that, I don't know if the Vikings are going to blow them out, because I think Caleb Williams, just specifically in that matchup last time, he did some good things against this Brian Flores defense for whatever reason. We'll see some adjustments on both sides, having just played 3 weeks ago. But yeah, I have the Vikings winning this game. I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns or something. Let's go 34-20, something along those lines.
Yeah, this is the first time any offense will have a second date with Brian Flores and the Vikings defense this season. So that'll be really interesting to watch that chess match unfold. I got a feeling that Brian Flores is going to win that one. I think he's going to be able to take everything he saw from the first matchup a handful of weeks ago and then exploit all of Caleb Williams' weaknesses that he was able to identify. And then you throw in the crowd noise at US Bank Stadium with the Winter Warrior whiteout. It's going to be crazy. If it's a quiet Vikings crowd, which I do not expect like it was when the Arizona Cardinals were in town, fresh off the holiday, I think it's going to be too loud for Caleb Williams to really take command of that offense. I think he's going to really struggle. I know he played at Ford Field on Thanksgiving Day, and that was a loud environment as well. And the Bears did keep that close after getting down big, and they lost 23-20. And if it weren't for a really dumb decision by Matt Eberflus to not call a timeout at the end of the game, maybe he's still the coach, and maybe this whole story is different. But I think US Bank Stadium will be the loudest and most intimidating venue that Caleb Williams and this Bears team has played in yet this season. And that's no disrespect to Detroit. I just think Minnesota's going to bring it on a Monday night and not on a holiday week. I think that really, really mattered in how quiet that Vikings crowd was against Arizona after the holiday. And I bet that Detroit crowd wasn't as loud as it can usually get on Thanksgiving Day. So there's going to be a lot going against Caleb Williams in this one. I think the Vikings wind up manhandling the Bears. I said this. I messaged you, Will, and I'm like, hey, man, if George Kittle and Juwan Jennings can combine for 240 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, there's no telling what Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson are going to do. And let's just remember, this Vikings team is on a pursuit for perfection. They want to play a perfect football game. They have not done it yet. This might be the one where it actually happens, because this version of the purple and gold seems like they are actually getting to a place where they're closer and closer to firing on all cylinders the later this season goes. So I got a feeling this is going to be a near perfect game for Minnesota, and I'll go with the final score of 38-17, and I feel like I'm being a little bit generous giving the Bears 17.
I think you are too. I mean, you look at how Chicago has performed on the road this season. They're 0-6 away from Soldier Field. They've never scored above 20 points away from Soldier Field this season. They've put up some yards in some of these games when they've left Chicago. But other than that, I don't think they perform well on the road. We saw that last week when they got walloped by the 49ers, who just looked pretty bad last night against the Rams. I think this ends up being a 28-12 Vikings victory. I think Brian Flores, a lot of field goals for the Bears. I don't think they score a touchdown. I think it's just 4 field goals for them, and they might miss a couple in there because they're just going to struggle to score against this Brian Flores defense that has given up a lot of yards lately. But the points, they've done a pretty good job of holding the points back from teams. So I think that'll come into play again this Monday night on ESPN. Boys, how
You
does
could also
Sam
get a touchdown, a field goal, and a safety to get to 12 points.
Look at you. Just doing the
Wow.
math all right
I
on
bet
the
you're
fly
good
here.
at Legos.
Just in case you guys didn't know maybe that'll be how it happens.
Do you like Legos?
I did like Legos about like 20 years ago.
You know who likes Legos? Jonathan. He's got adult Legos all over. He's surrounded by them. I knew he'd be able to turn around and get one. Watch this. Look at that. That's a Lego thing?
That's
this
impressive.
is a Lego Lewis Hamilton F1 car.
Wow.
I have a Lego Bumblebee from Transformers.
Oh my God, we are learning a lot right now.
And if I pick up my camera,
yeah,
Adam will really appreciate this one. Adam,
Do it.
our boss. Lego Old Trafford, Manchester United Stadium.
Oh, nice. Nice.
All right, besides the point, besides the Legos, how does Sam Darnold pick up where he left off last weekend, where he threw 5 touchdown passes and had the best game of his career? What do we expect from him going up against the Chicago defense for the second time this season, Will?
Yeah, Darnold had it was a good game. It was part of this. I think it sparked kind of this stretch of games here that he's been really, really effective. He's been taking care of the ball. He just, it wasn't his best game for parts of it, but then when the Vikings needed it, he stepped up in overtime, led the game-winning drive, did some good things in the second half. The thing I'm curious about is how the Bears defend the Vikings' offensive weapons, because last time these two teams played, they really sold out to take Justin Jefferson out of the game, and they did that. He had 1 catch for 7 yards in regulation. He had a 20-yard grab in overtime to prevent it from being the worst game of his career by yardage. But that meant Jordan Addison had 162 yards and a touchdown. TJ Hockenson had 114 yards, most of it coming in the fourth quarter in OT. Aaron Jones had a big game after an early fumble. He got in the end zone. So I'm curious to see if they run back that make anybody else beat us approach, because everybody else did beat them last time. But then again, you could say that it worked in the sense that they were in the game in overtime. Or do they play the Vikings a little more straight up, and Justin Jefferson has a chance to have a bigger game? I don't think the Bears will hold Justin Jefferson, no matter what they do, below 30 yards again. But this could be another spot where we continue to see more Jordan Addison, more TJ Hockenson. The Vikings, they want to lean on Aaron Jones in the run game. They have the weapons with the way Sam Darnold is playing to do a lot of things against a Bears defense that just got shredded by the 49ers last week. And then on the other side of the ball, the Bears had done some good things recently with Caleb Williams, and then last week they were held to like 170 total yards by the 49ers. Williams was sacked 7 times. So I'm looking for Brian Flores to turn up the heat on that side of things and make some adjustments from last game.
I also think that Kevin O'Connell's going to turn up the heat on offense and not take the foot off the gas. He kind of did that in the fourth quarter against the Bears the first time around. They got into the red zone. They had a nice cushion, and they decided to just run the ball. 1st and 10 from the 16. Run. 2nd down. Run. 3rd down. Run that gets no gain. They end up kicking a field goal with John Parker Romo, and that just kind of like stalled things out. I felt like they could have been in attack mode late in that game, put 7 on the board, and then they really don't have to worry about any of these crazy late game rallies. I mean, that field goal did put them up 27-14, so it shouldn't have been an issue, or 27-17, I should say. It shouldn't have been an issue.
16.
It was, for obvious reasons, but I got a feeling the Vikings are going to kind of go for hay this game and just kind of fire bullets all over the field. I wouldn't be shocked if Darnold throws for 4 touchdowns, maybe 5 again this week. I just think this Vikings offense is humming, and they're ready for some more damage in this game. Sam Darnold's a confident man. He's a different man. Justin Jefferson was on with Rich Eisen earlier this week, and he said something is different about him, and it is that confidence and that swagger that is starting to come out. The leadership qualities are really starting to rise as well. It's like he now believes in himself. And I've said this before, and I think it's true. I think everybody, us included, everyone out there, and even Sam Darnold, had to see it to actually believe it. Like Darnold used to think he was the dog, right? He was the man at USC. And then he has to go through all these growing pains in the NFL, and he probably really began to doubt himself. And now here we are. He's surrounded by a great supporting cast, and all of a sudden, he's the man again. And he has 13 games of evidence to say that this is not a fluke. Like, you have to believe it now. And I believe he believes it. And I think that as long as he's a believer, this team is extremely dangerous, and he can go out there and fire some darts.
I think the team is feeding off of that too. Like the whole. I mean, I asked Aaron Jones this last week after the game. Like, is everybody in the locker room kind of sensing that confidence and feeding off of it? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Like, you can tell when your quarterback's playing the way he's playing and carrying himself. I think the way he's carrying himself, like, you get the feeling that even he's going to throw another interception at some point this year. It could happen on Monday night. You get the feeling even if that happens, he's just going to shake it off and keep playing and keep being aggressive downfield. He's not in a position where one interception could, send his mental state out of whack again. And I just don't think that's going to happen. And yeah, he has a chance here if he has a 100+ passer rating in 3 of the last 4 games to tie Aaron Rodgers for the all-time record of the most games with a 100 passer rating in NFL history, which is just remarkable. But yeah, I think Darnold will play well again. I think the Vikings are going to look very crisp in these new Winter Warrior whiteout uniforms. I think the crowd is going to be electric in prime time. And it's an 11-2 team. People are fired up about this team. If the Lions happen to lose to the Bills on Sunday, which we'll see, the Vikings will have a chance to control their own destiny. And the schedule's tough after this week, but I mean, this is a really good team right now. So I think it should be fun on Monday night.
The Lions are 100% losing to the Bills. That's that 3:25 kickoff. The Bills are coming in there. They're on a mission to prove something. I don't care if it's in Detroit. The Bills are going to send a message to the NFL.
I will believe it when I see it with the Lions losing a football game, because it just hasn't happened in 3 months. But we'll see. This is the best opportunity the Vikings have to make up that game in the standings this week.
Last question for you guys. Tuesday morning when we're talking again, the Vikings have a win under their belt. What do you think at that point their possible record is over the final 3 games? We know how tough those final 3 games are. At Seattle, hosting the Packers, and then back at the Lions, final week of the season. If they win on Sunday, what's your prediction for the final 3 games, their record?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at it from the Final Four, I think we're all in agreement that they win this game. I was asked this, like, what do you think they go 2-2 over the Final Four? And I think that's maybe the baseline. And I certainly don't think they're gonna go 1-3 or anything like that. I feel like this team might find a way to go 3-1 down the stretch here. And whether that means, that would mean either winning at Seattle or at Detroit, and it would mean beating Green Bay at home, which will be tough. But the way they're playing right now, both sides of the ball, I don't know. Kevin O'Connell, it has to start this week. That's all they're thinking about right now. You have to win this game. It's as much of a must-win for an 11-win team as you can have. But after that, I feel like the vibes have been so good here that they're going to find a way to win 2 of the last 3.
I wouldn't be shocked if they go 4-0 over these final 4 weeks. They're good enough to do it. We already know that. We already know they can play with Detroit.
They can play with anybody, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that game's going to be in Detroit in Week 18. The Seattle game's going to be tough. Anybody going to Seattle is going to have a tough time, but I think the Vikings are just that much better than the Seahawks. If there is a team that can expose some weaknesses, though, it's a good passing attack in Seattle with all those dangerous weapons. So if Stephon Gilmore's not back, next week for that one, that could be challenging. But I don't think Green Bay is going to come into the house of the purple and gold and win. And I think that Week 18 game is going to be monumental. I think it's going to matter. I think it's actually going to settle the NFC North and the number 1 seed in the NFC. That's going to be really challenging to go into Detroit and take one there. But I think this team is very capable of it. If I had to make a bet here, I would say the Vikings do go 3-1 down the stretch, though, and they finish 14-3 as the 5 seed, which would suck.
Yeah, it would. Absolutely would.
They need Ivan Pace Jr. back for that Lions game for sure.
Absolutely.
with that running attack that they have. But yeah, it's going to be fun here.
Yeah, absolutely will be fun to watch and track throughout the rest of this final game, this final stretch into the playoffs. You can go read all of our work over at Vikings on SI, as well as Twins, Timberwolves, and Gophers on SI as well. Looking forward to it, guys. Minnesota sports fans, be sure to click subscribe on the YouTube channel. It does help us get found. Also, lets you get notified every time we post a new video here on the channel. We'll talk to you guys next week, coming up Monday for another topic across the Minnesota sports. Talk to you later.